Homes real estate analysis. So we are going to build the dashboard together and try to answer the strategic questions within the BRD document that we have. So the data set in front of you, you're familiar with it already, I believe, because you had enough time for you to go through and create something amazing for yourself. So here we have the property listing, which has the property ID column, property type, location, state, number of bedrooms, bathroom, size in square meter, the list price in naira, the rent per month in naira, sales type, furnishing and date listed, as well as the status and agent name, also days on market, the number of days I stayed on the market before it got sold. Then the next one is the transaction ID. I mean the transaction table. That's the ones that have been sold or either rented or sold in this case. Then you have the transaction ID, property ID, transaction type, the transaction date itself, the amount, the commission, client's name, email, client phone number, payment method, and status. Then you also have the property viewing, the viewing ID, property ID, viewing date, client name, phone number, agent feedback, and interested level. All right. So we're going to go over to Power BI right now to answer this particular question. Let me bring up the BRD document. Okay, which property types and locations sell fastest? What is the optimal pricing strategy by location? Which agents are top performers and why? What factors influence your property viewing to sale conversion? Then also, how can we reduce days on market for properties? And what are current market trends we should capitalize on? So we are going to answer that with the data set that we have. So the first thing we are going to do is to clean up the data set, import and clean up the data set. So here in Power BI, because it's an Excel file, I'm going to click on Excel workbook and select the data set, click on open. Then select the three tables that we have, click on transform. So Power Query has opened, so I'm going to bring that to this page. Let me just refresh this. Oh, this is not Power. Okay, yeah, this is it. All right. So the first one is the property listing. In this case, Power BI has automatically changed type for us, but we're going to look through. And before we look through, I will ensure that we are seeing all the number of rows that we have. So I'm going to profile based on the entire data set. Right, so we have 2,200 distinct and unique. So by default, I know that now that there is no duplicate in this. If you cannot view this part, this is not at column quality. You can view this by clicking on view tab and turning on the column quality. It helps you to understand the status of each column as you go through. Then we have the property type, key, which is fine. And is text, location is text, which is fine. State is text, which is fine. Bedroom, phone number, which is fine. Bathroom, phone number, it's fine. Size is phone number, which is fine. List price, I have list price as phone number. I want to change this to decimal number. Replace current. And also the rent part, I also want to change this to decimal. Place current. Then sales type, I have sales type text, which is fine. Furnishing text, which is fine. Date listed. So this is not showing as date, so we need to fix this. I'll change this to date. Replace current. Now we have it as date showing, and status text, which is fine. Agent name text, which is fine, and days on market is whole number, which is fine. And next is to look at the price and rent column. You can see over here from the column quality that there are some empty values. So I'm just quickly going to replace the null values with 0 for these two numeric columns. So I'm going to click on, sorry, right click on this, replace values, null, and to replace with 0. Where is that? 0. Click OK. Then same thing applicable to rent and slash months, replace value, replace with 0. Click OK. Then the naming convention, I can see that property ID has underscore, while others are written like normal. So I'll have to remove this underscore from property ID so that it will be a uniform naming convention in this case. So we are good with the listing aspect of things. Now let's look at the viewings. Okay, let's look at the change type aspect. So this is text. This is not showing as date. Change this to date, please. Client name text, phone number is showing as number. Make it a text. Replace current so that the 0 will be showing in front. Then agent name, feedback, and interested level. So this is okay. So we're going to change the naming convention as well. Remove this and this particular one as well. The next is on the transaction aspect of things. I have this as text, and profile based on editor set. Okay, distinct and all the transaction ID is unique. Then type, okay, transaction date, change this to date. Then transaction amount, change this to decimal. You can actually use this decimal as well. Then client's name, as well as, okay, this is text, and payment status. Okay. Then I'm going to change the naming convention here as well. Okay. Then let's close and apply.
And now, like, imagine if it was the first born and it's doing like that. It's still understandable.
Yes. Apply changes. BI, what is going on? You want me to click you multiple times?
And what is he doing? So what is he doing? Mm, Second bunker.
This first. Then looking at table view, we have a property listing.
The network is bad.
And in this case, when you look at the three tables that we have, they have the day started in 1st of January 2024 till 31st of December 2025. Also in transaction, I think it's the same thing as well. So 1st of January till 31st. Then property
It's saying that my network
views,
is on that is bad.
we have 1st of January till 31st as well. So we are going to be creating a date table that will cover this range of date. So to do that, we're going to click on table tools, new table, date table, equal to, we're going to be using the calendar function. The start date is going to be year 2024, month 01 of January and day 01. Then end date, still date function, year 2025. Month is going to be 12 for December and day is going to be 31st. So we have this. I'll change it from date time to date format. Change it to short date as well. So we have day, month, and year shown. Then next, you're going to extract month number from this, and to do that, new column, month number is equal to month function and date table date. The next thing we're going to do is to extract to convert the month number to month name, and we just want the first three letters of the month. So I'm going to click on new column, month name is equal to, we use the format function, then reference the date, then use triple M, first three letters. If I want to show all of them, I will make the M into four places, but I just want the first three letters to show. So I'm going to use that. Then next is the year. We want to extract year from this. Year is equal to year function, date table date. Okay. Then the next thing that we're going to do, now that we have created our data table, is to create the model of this particular report to do our data modeling. So I'm going to open up the model view as well as manage relationship here. Let me start with the manage relationship, it's easier. So now we already have by default a relationship between the property viewings and property listing, then property transaction and property listing. Okay, so the next one is going to be basically for the date table that we've created. So for new relationship, first is going to be from the transaction to the date table, and we're going to be connecting the transaction date with the date in the date table. Save. Then next is going to be the property listing to the date table, and we're going to connect the date listed and date. Click OK.
I'm listening to you 100%. I'm not even inside the class.
Save. Why are you not saving? Okay, let me see.
Okay.
Okay,
Why I let it around? Okay.
new date table and property listing.
Why I let it around? Okay.
Date listed and date. Right now, because of the fact that we already have a table connected to the property listing, I mean to the date table, that's the transaction. So this other one, the property listing as well as the viewing table, is going to be inactive. Then also for the viewing dates, make it inactive and save. So now let's look at the diagrammatic view of it. So we have our two major fact table. Let me reduce this, which is the listing and transaction. Um, Listing and transaction. Then we have this dimension table, date table. So you can see here that
No, no, no. They've not. The people that will tell me they've left now.
the only active relationship that we have to the date table is the transaction table, which is what I want for this analysis. Every other one that we have, which is the property listing and the property viewing, they are both inactive. But you can always activate that using a function known as the use relationship function. To probably you want to check the date, I mean the number of properties viewed within a particular date, you can activate that to do the count. But in this case, for this my analysis, I want it to be focused on sales aspect of things. So I'm majorly going to be using the transaction date for the sales aspect of things and not just the listing and viewing. Right. So this is the way our data model looks like right now. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is to create a table for our measures. We'll be creating a couple of measures to help us to answer the business questions in the BRD. And in order to ensure that our measures are properly organized, we need to have a table for it. So here I have enter data. I'll just name it as key measures. By right just measures is already taken by Power BI. So you need to add either underscore in front or name it as key measures, not just measure. As Power BI will throw out an error telling you that that name is actually taken kind of. So we have that here. Let's go back to the table view to start creating these measures. The first measure we are going to be creating is the total number of properties that we have, the total listings. And we're going to be getting this from the property listing table, where we are going to be counting the total number of properties that's by the property ID. So total listing, I'll right click on the key measures table, new measure.
kí ló wá ṣe ládùúgbò ẹ̀?
I'm actually using listings count. I'm actually using distance count for this because of the fact that it's more like a validation method. In case if someone is actually working on the document and probably have like a duplicate that I don't know about, kind of, because over there in the Power Query, we did not remove duplicates. We saw already that it contains distinct values. So, but right now, I'm applying that second layer of check by using distinct count or property ID. The next one is going to be, before I move forward, let me just remove properties from all this because it seems repetitive. So instead of property viewing, property listing, and okay, we don't have it on transaction, I'm just going to remove the property aspect of the name. So just listing, it seems like a whole lot because we already know that we are working with property data, viewings, then transactions. Okay. The next one is going to be the total number of properties sold. So this is basically going to be from also from the listing table. We have this particular column that tells us if a property has been sold or not, which is here on the status. So right now we have available, off market, rented, sold, under offer. So we want to know the total number of properties that we have in our listing that has been sold. I'm going to create a measure for that.
It's a finished man.
New measure.
100% finished man.
So what this is doing, the total listing measure that we have created, so the total number of properties that we have, check where the listing status is equal to sold. This will give us the total number of properties sold. The next is going to be the sales, the revenue that we've gotten. And this is going to be coming from the transaction table.
Qatar. Qatar.
Because that is where the houses are transaction. So it's basically going to be, we have a column transaction type and either sale or rented. So we're going to be looking at the ones, the revenue gotten from sold properties, not just rented, not just sales and rented, just the sold one. So revenue measure in this case, right? Which is the two of them together. So it's basically going to be the revenue. So let me just pause on this particular one. It's still based on the transaction. So it's basically going to be the transaction amount column. We have this transaction amount column, and our total revenue is going to be the sum of the transaction amounts column to get that ground. And this is going to be the sum of the transaction as the label in that column that signifies the transaction type. So in order to filter out that part, we will now use this particular measure. So the
Hello.
total revenue, we only want the one where transaction type is equal to sale. Then we are also going to look at the one where transaction type is equal to rental, which is just the opposite. We'll swap the sale with the rental aspect of thing. So right click, new measure,
Okay, let's get it. Yeah.
same thing, just swapping the sale with the rental to get the total rental revenue. Then next is going to be the total commission. We have the commission column in transaction table.
Quick
So it's
suspend
basically going to be the sum of that commission column. This is the commission column.
right.
So right click on that, new measure,
Yes,
total commission. And let's see. So the next thing that we're going to look at is from our BRD document. It mentioned a whole lot about the average day on market. So we know that we need to have a measure on average day on market. So this is going to be coming from the listing table as well. We have these days on market. So we're just going to find the average of this particular column. New measure.
Yes.
Find the average using the average function of this particular column. Then next is going to be the conversion rate. So this will help us, especially when we want to compare our agents' performance. We need the sales conversion rate. So which is basically going to be dividing the total sold by the total listing. New measure, total sold by total listing. And I added this zero here because if it encounters divide by zero, then let it actually return zero instead of giving me an error. Then the next one is going to be the total viewed, the total number of properties that was viewed out of the ones listed, how many were viewed. This is going to be based on the viewing table. So basically going to be this thing count of the property ID in viewing table. Then
What's it there?
total
Yeah,
transactions,
no, sorry, I'm not busy.
basically going to be counting the transaction ID in our transaction table.
We were talking about your edit now.
Then finally, we have an interesting measure here, which is going to be the average price per square meter. The BRD document talked about pricing as well. So this is going to help us with to answer that particular question. So we need to find that.
Mm. We both
So
use
what this
it.
function basically is doing, we have the average x function. This is an iterator function which works like a calculated column, especially when you want to like create a measure but you don't want it to be a calculated column. You use average x. It analyzes row by row and it goes into the listing table. In that listing table, it's going to filter the listing table where listings size. Let me actually click on the listing table. So if I'm explaining this, it will make sense. So we have the price per square price. We are looking at these two columns inside the listing table. So what the function is doing inside that listing table, we go to the size per square meter column. If it is greater than 0, get that for me. And this is AND function, where the list price, if the price of is the price present is also greater than 0, filter that and get that for me. When you get that, you form like a table. Filter always returns a table kind of thing. Then it forms like a table. Within that table, you can now the list price that you have gotten divided by the size, which will now give you the, and now at the end of the day, find the average of that, which will now give you the average price per square meter. I had to do divided greater than 0 and all because of the fact, average. You are trying to divide something by the number of times it's occurred. So if you have like 0 in this case, it's not really adding any value to it. So if you consider 0, it's not that, I would say that it's not that accurate per se. So that is why I had to filter out the 0. We are looking at price, money. So if it is 0, it doesn't make sense. So that is why we actually filtered for greater than 0 for that. So I believe now that we have different measures that we are going to be using for this. Then I'm going to delete this column. It's not adding any value to me. Now we start visualizing this particular stuff in order to answer our question. So next thing that we're going to do now, I will need to create a background on PowerPoint, or like the wireframe in this case. I'm not going to create this from the beginning because I wouldn't want it to waste our time. It's a very simple background kind of thing. So within PowerPoint, you just need to insert shapes. This is a rectangular shape. This is also a rectangular shape and all. And you have a line in between. So once it's very simple for you to just create, nothing too complicated. So once you're done with this, click Control A and group. When you finish grouping, save as picture. When you save it as picture, you can save as PNG, SVG. I usually like saving as SVG, but in this case, I save as PNG. But the reason it's good to save as SVG is like, especially if you have visuals on the background, so that it will not be pixelated when you bring it into Power BI. But for the sake of this particular stuff, which is not something so complicated, I just saved as PNG. All right. So I'm going to go over to Power BI and import that, the one that I've already saved. So on my format pane, before then as well, I'm going to resize this canvas setting. For this particular class, I want to create just one page dashboard. So, and I want a whole lot of things to enter here, but still look okay for my screen, not too clustered and everything. But at the end of the day, you can actually make it like 2 pages or 3 pages if you wish to. If you feel that creating that will be so cluttered for you on your screen. My screen is wide enough, and for the sake of this class, I just want one page rather not to waste time. So I'm going to be increasing the height a bit. So the height for this is going to be, I'll make it like 1000. Yeah. And then I will import the background. So this is the background that we have. Change it to still fit. And for now, remove the transparency. Okay, change it to stretch. So we have this there in the background. The first thing that we're going to do is to create a card visual for our key KPIs that will help the business owner of this particular real estate company to be able to like know his major metrics that he needs to monitor. So in this case, we are going to be using a card visual. Have card in here. Oh wow. Okay. Please that. So I want the card to occupy this space. That is why I left it vacant. So the next first thing I want to add there is my total properties, which is total listings in this case. right? We have the number showing. Next is the total sold that we've created. Then total sales revenue, total commission, average day on market, and sales conversion rate. So we have this. If yours is not showing all this by default, it could be that it's limited on the number of things that it can change, it can show. So you can click on, excuse me, format pane, go over to the multi-card layout and increase the number of things that it can show on it. So mine is showing everything I need it to show. Then the next thing I'm going to do here now is to format this particular card as well as the format of my metrics to be sure that they are showing the way they are supposed to be showing. So in this case, I have the total listing. I want this to show everything. So I'll go down to where I have the call out for that. I click total listing value, display unit none. Then I want to add comma to it. Click on it and add comma. Then next is the total sold is fine. Total sales revenue. I want this to be currency, and in this case, Naira. Um, you can search for Naira here. Not really search. I just hope they can add that here because it's difficult for someone to search for something. Naira is written as Edo.
It's something I know now.
Hmm,
It's something I know
okay,
now.
I've seen. Is it just me? Okay, I've seen English.
So,
There's also Edo
come and tell me.
somewhere down there. So we have this as
I'm
18,
lying. Come and tell me.
186.77 billion. And then we have the total commission
Mutigba. Research is not always right. That's research is not always right. Research is not always right.
still currency Naira.
Hello? Maybe research is not always right.
Average days on market.
Is that research? Is that research?
Add zero to it.
Ṣé nǹkan tó ń ṣe research ni kó máa lọ gbọ́ nǹkan tí ilé
Auto
sọ?
remove.
Go to ChatGPT, ask him ChatGPT, that's research. Not to
Average days of market. Why are you okay? I can also use this part to reduce the number of zero. I don't know why that is not really working now. Mhm. Click on it, go down to, you can also go down to the call out aspect and change that and change the number of decimal places if that one up there is giving you issues like it is for me right now. Display units, number of decimal places, zero. Mhm. Sales conversion rate.
yeah, that's a small girl now.
I want this to be in percentage. Mm,
Mo wà pẹ̀lú
let
ẹ̀.
me also reduce that to zero so it will match our decimal places that we've been using. 21%. Then next is going to be to
Pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ ni.
format this proper background. I'll turn on the visual border for this. Oh,
Mo ní nǹkan tó ń sọ
no,
náà nìyẹn.
the background turned off, and let me click get that part. Okay, so the height is going to be 105.
Why are you disturbing yourself?
And then our width, I want the width to be 1256. Horizontal position, that is either left or right. So I want the position of this to be 11. Vertical position, I want it to be 97, so that it will be well placed. Then
Yeah, that's the level. Yes, you want to prefer marry, what am I playing? Got to look up on the wall.
adjust this a bit.
Or what it marry? Okay, okay. I can be doing this, I can be doing that to support my husband. But is it a compulsory aspect for you?
Okay.
That's the
Then
question.
next thing is the border, the visual border. I want this part to the color to be this, as well as the rounded corner to be 5. Then also multi-card layout. I want this to the gap between the layouts. I want to increase that to 14 to give it space to breathe. Then also the shape of the card itself. It should be the shape somewhere. Yeah, this is the shape of the card.
No, but
The card itself, not the multi-card layout. There are a whole lot of things here, so you just need to check one after the other. So here we have rounded rectangle, corner reduce 4. So I'm just going to increase it to 5 so that it will match what we have been using. So this is what we have now for our key KPIs, showing total listings, total sales revenue commission. So when the business owner is viewing this, person can easily tell these are the major metrics that he needs to look at. And next thing is the are going to start looking at the whole portfolio overview and distribution. What do we have, like how are they
you
distributed?
have enough.
So the first one is going to be property by status, to know more like a pipeline for us to know the
Let's
ones
say
that are available, the ones that are rented, sold, and off market. So to show this, I'm going to be using a bar chart to show this. Start bar. Oh,
mm-hmm.
oh, wow, what did I just undo? Click on empty space, then start bar chart to show this, and it's going to be placed here.
Ben,
So we want to see our total properties by status. We have the status column in the listing, so I'm going to drag that to the y-axis. So this is now telling us how many are available, rented, sold, and off market. So let's edit the chart itself. So format, size, and style. I want the height to be 181 and the width to be 266. Horizontal position 21 and vertical position 240. Right, scroll down. The visual border, I want to turn off the background. Visual border, turn that on. Then the color of our visual border, consistent with what we've been using. Rounded corner 5. Then also the title in this case is just going to be total listing by status, which is fine. But I'm going to change this to Sergio UI semi bold, and it's going to be 10. Then next is going to be the X and Y axis. The Y axis, I want to turn off the title. The X axis, I want to turn off the title and value because I want to turn on the data label.
mm-hmm.
On the y-axis as well, you can see that the name is not properly written, it's not showing completely. So in order to show everything, go over to the layout, increase the maximum category height. Is it, I think so, it should be this. Oh no, not this. It should be okay, I think spacing. Not spacing. Let's look at the, there should be a layout here. With space between categories, data label layout, not this one. Let me see width. Maximum width, not category height in this case. So all the name is showing completely. The next is going to be the bar. The color of the bar, I want the color of my bar to be this color. I have 002060, right? Then finally, I'm going to turn on my data label and ensure that it's always outside in case it increases or decreases. So position outside end, right? So we have this first one. The next is the property by type. I'm going to copy this and paste. So right now we have the listing. So I'm going to change this from listing to property type. I'm going to change the status to property type in this case. So we have property type, and within the property type, I want to also show the different status, whether it is rented or sale. So this case is going to be the sale type. So it's going to be on the legend aspect of things. So to do that, I'm going to be changing the from oh, it's already a stack bar chart. So I have option of adding legend. So I'll add the legend for the sale type over here. So I am going to edit the title as well as the name. Stop listing, stop at property type. Then the title, the legend title, I'm going to turn that off. Not the legend itself, the legend title, turn that off. So we have the different properties showing. Also the maximum width, I need to increase that, but this name is quite a long one, but let's just stop at the detached aspect of things so you can scroll up and down for you to get the whole view. So the next one is going to be the average day on market by property type. The look, let me just shift this a bit. The horizontal position of this, it needs to shift a little. I want it to be at 302.
I don't tell me.
Okay, 302 is fine. Then I'll copy this. Let me just copy this one because it's just going to be a normal bar chart. Place it here. So we're going to be looking at the average day on market by property type to help us to answer some of the business questions relating to average day on market.
Why are
So I'm going to change total listing and select average day on market, then remove status and select property type.
okay, for okay. Why are the one not doing? Put the one not doing.
So for this particular one, I'm going to increase the width so that the name can actually show maximum width. So we have detached out. And because of the fact that it's average day on market, and Abi already mentioned something about the ones with the least average of market. So by default, it would be nice for you to sort this by ascending order, showing the first one by ascending order. So you can see that Maisonette is actually the one that doesn't stay in the market for long. So whenever someone opens it, the person can easily see the property that doesn't take time to get sold. Then next is going to be a column chart, not a column chart, a donor chart. For this, we are going to be looking at still average development time. So we have the market, and furnishing. So for this to, I'm going to change the blue colors to fit the color theme that we've been using. This one in particular, let's start with the visual border. Change this to this and rounded corner 5 pixels. Then change, remove the title of the legend. Then the slices, I'm going to, that should be furnished in this case. I'm going to change the color to fit the one that we've been using. Then the data label, we only want the percentage of total. Over here, I'm going to also change the, that should be rented, rent, change that to this. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at is actually the sales trend. This is where we're going to be using the data table that we created in order to be able to show the trend of sales of our properties. So I'm going to be using a line chart. Then I am going to add the total sales revenue. Then by different months that we have created it from our date table. Month name. And I'm going to add the year to the legend because we want to compare, since we just have 2 year here, 2024 and 2025. So to easily compare the 2 years, then year. Right now it is not sorted chronologically. So in order to do that, I will need to sort that. Click on table view, go back to month name, select source column by month number. Now that we have sorted, I'll remove the month name and place it back. So we have a better viewing look. Then I'm going to change this to start editing actually. Um, I have the title is going to be a monthly sales trend. And before we get to that particular one, let's just change the visual border and color. Rounded, make it 5. Title monthly sales trend. Then the font of it is going to be as a UI 10. Then scroll down to where you have the x-axis. I want to remove the title. The y-axis, I want to remove the title as well. Then the legend, I want to remove the title of the legend. Where you have the lines, I want to change the color of the lines. For my 2024, I want it to be this color, that shade of orange instead of blue. It's not really popping. So this is better. Then for all of them, select all. For all of them, I want the marker to be still all marker. Show for all series.
Baki,
Reduce the size
Aerobon.
to 3, oh, rather to 4 in
Huh?
this case, so that it will be visible.
What's that? What's
Then
up?
um, the line itself, I want it to be smooth. Then next thing is going to be the
There was.
grid line is not so
How could Wale? Huh?
obvious, but I can still
What's that?
reduce that. But for now, I think this is just okay
Okay,
for
check.
now. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to look at the average day on market by location, which is one of
Oh,
our requirements also on the BRD document. Let me increase this little. So it's going to be
well,
occupying this particular space. I'm going to be using a bar chart as well. I will copy this bar chart so as to retain the format.
so
So instead of total listing by status, we are going to be selecting average on market by location, rather state in this case. This is Abuja. I want the top states in this case. So average day on market by state. Then the next one is going to be the average price as well by that location. Or within this, actually, you can also drill down if you want to give your user an enablement to be able to get more information. Since we have state and then the other location within that state in our data, you can also add this here underneath, which will automatically enable the drill down feature. So when someone drills down to, let me expand this so that it will be visible. Now we have the date, the different states. When someone drills down to the next layer, you find the different location. You can actually see the average day on market by different location. You can drill up as well. So this gives more information for your user. So it would be nice to have that there. So average on market by state. So the next one is going to be average price also by state. So I'll copy this as well. So instead of
no words.
average day on market, I will select average price by state. So for the price aspect of things, we need to also format that to Naira and change this to 0. Then also within the value in the format pane, you can see that this is showing 0 point something million, 0 point this million. So it actually makes sense for you to just take it back to thousands. So under the data label aspect of things, the value, I can do display unit to be in thousand, which actually makes more sense. You have 415,000 383 and all. You can also drill down just like you did for the other. You can expand to all level as well. So let's drill up. Okay. And because this is average day of market as well, it's best for us to also sort it by descending order so that once someone sees this, the person will know the exact particular location that doesn't waste time for the building to get sold. So sort by ascending order. So the list one is at the top and all. And down here, we're going to be looking at agent performance, which is also one of the requirements in our BRD. And we are going to be using a table chart for that.
No,
I'll
there,
click
no, no.
on
Okay,
table, place that here, adjust this a bit. Then I want to add my agent name. I want to add the total revenue. I also want to add the total commission as well as the percentage sales conversion rate. Let's edit this. Five. We also have the title is basically going to be the top five. In this case, we want to show because the BRD mentioned who is our top performing. So in this case, instead of showing everybody, it's best for you to filter this by top five. Top five agents by revenue. Still going to be Sergio UI and then minimal layout style preset. It's going to be minimal. And for the total revenue, you can see that it is not properly formatted. So I want to format this to Naira currency and zero decimal places. Okay. We also want to, on the grid line aspect of things, we want to remove the total because I don't want to be seeing the total down below. I just want to see the performance of this. Then also the layout of the table, I want it to fit to grow to fit, right? So sales conversion rates and or next is to ensure that it's actually showing me the top five. So I'm going to click on this, go to filter on the agent name. We want to filter this by top N, top five in our case, and select the option total revenue, apply filter. So this is showing us the top performing agents. Okay, so by total revenue, you need to also sort that so that it's being the top performing. Then the next one is going to be still on the buyer's behavior. The we already talked about feedback and what the buyers think. We're going to be using a so I'm going to look at the total viewings by the feedback aspect of things. So remove status here and feedback. So you can see that we have the feedback showing us against what the clients are saying when they view. So let me expand this bit. Why has this bit? Please on the bar. Right, to divider maximum weight of this increase it. Okay, need renovation. Okay, so let's expand this a bit. Then finally, we want to look at the payment method that people still on buyers behavior. What is their preferred payment? Because it's going to help us to answer some questions. So let me just expand this here. Um, this is going to be coming from the transaction aspect of things. Payment method. and total transaction. We're going to be using the total transaction instead of total view.
Hey, class, I had the
Total transaction by payment
where I
method.
do my paper class.
So we have what we need to answer the question um, that the PRD document mentioned. So let me
I'm not the
quickly
one taking
adjust
anything. It's not me taking
this
it.
so
I'm just
that
gonna
it
test it.
will look better. Okay.
I don't need to be
So
there.
the next thing that we're going to do, we need a slicer for this particular report. I'm going to be adding a slicer and basically going to be a yet slicer as well as the property ID slicer, just to help the user to have some form of interactivity if they want to explore more. So I'm going to select here in this case, where is my date table? And within here, I want it to be a drop down. Then turn off the background so that it will fit what we currently have. The slicer header, I want it to be white in color so that it will be visible. Then the value itself, I want it also to be white in color, or the value background. But right now, if I expand this, you cannot see the value because it's white background. So I'm going to change this to blue color so that when someone expands it, the person can actually see and it's visible. All right, so this is the first slicer. I'm going to copy this, paste,
No, no.
and next is the property ID,
Supposed to be another class.
which is basically going to be coming from a listing table.
This one, what I wanna.
And finally, I'm going to be adding a text box for our title, which is that's like the major thing. If not, when someone looks at this particular dashboard, the person will not know what the dashboard is about. So always add the title. Real estate performance dashboard. Increase the size to 24 and adjust it, take it up there, turn off the background, change the font color to white so that it will be visible. So now we have our dashboard. Let's now answer the questions on the BRD document to be sure that our dashboard answers it. The first one says, which agents are top for performing? No, that's not the first one. The first one says, which property types and locations sell fastest? Right. So this is where the average day on market comes in. We have the average day on market by property type, and here you can see that maisonette and duplex actually are the ones that stays the least time in the market. Also, you can see here that um instead of percentage in this case, let me just change this to value because this will help us. So I will change the format of this to value,
Um,
detail level.
hello, Chiamaka, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's up?
Your data and your build, can you minimize it so that the visual be bigger? Not format.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying
Uh-huh.
to do that now.
Okay, thank you. Because
Now it's better for us to. You can view it properly right now.
it's still small a bit.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to increase the.
Yes, much better like
How
that.
does it look now?
Yes, much
Yeah,
better. Yes,
better now.
yes.
Okay. So this is actually my screen. Let me actually adjust this. Okay. Number of decimal places 0. All right. Can you all see the stuff now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So the Masonite and duplex are the ones that stays the least time in the market. Also, when you look at furnishing, you find out that the ones that are already furnished Um, the ones that okay semi-furnished actually stays the least time as well as the furnished one. Then unfurnished has the highest. So you can see that you can actually start making assumptions in your head when you look at this. Oh, when it is unfurnished, people don't tend to buy. So you ensure that you always furnish what you the property that you have before you list. Then also by states, you can see here that Port Harcourt is actually the um, location with the least time in the market. Then the next one says, what is the optimal pricing strategy by location? So for this, actually, this average price by square meter per state answers it. And in combination with the average days on market, you can see here that although Lagos has the highest price per square meter, but funny enough, within the average days on market, you find out that it still sells before Abuja. So even though Lagos has the highest price, people actually still buy. So if you are trying to do your pricing strategy, if you're listing house for Lagos in this case, look out for premium because people will always buy. That is one. Then also for Port Harcourt in this case, you can see that it has the least price in the market and as well as it sells faster. So if you want to sell more, especially in Port Harcourt, ensure that the price is reduced. So this is kind of pricing strategy that this person can actually use. Then the next one says which agents are top performers and why. This particular part answers is the top agents by revenue. In this case, we have Grace Ibrahim. You can see that her total revenue is high as well as her sales conversion rate is high. And Peter. So these are like our two top performers in this case, although you can easily see the five of them anyway. But the two top performers are Grace and Peter. So whatever Grace and Peter is doing, the owner of this particular real estate company can actually replicate their concepts and ideas to be able for other members of the team for them to also sell more. Then the next one is what factors influence property viewing by sale property viewing to sale conversion. So this is where the feedback comes in, where you have the total view by feedback. People are saying they will consider a lot, and also saying that the properties need renovation. So this is actually telling the person listing the property that you need to always ensure that your properties are in good condition before listing. Then also some people are saying that it's expensive. So you can also drill down for the location of these ones that are so expensive and reduce and review the pricing in this case. The next is how can we reduce days on market for properties? I think I've answered a bit. So the average days on market for masonite and duplex, those are the ones that sell fastest. But the ones that stay for a long time in the market, that's the detached and apartment, you need to investigate why this one stay low. Is it that their prices are too high for people to look into? This is something that the person needs to look into. Then the next one is on the finishing aspect of things. By default, it's already telling you that if your property is unfurnished, people don't tend to look at it. So you need to actually ensure that you furnish the property and make it pleasing to the eye so that people can actually look at it and buy it and to not get to stay long in the market. Then the next one is what are the current trends we should capitalize on? So this particular aspect answers it. You have the sales trend, and you can see that in 2025 there was an increase, a spike in September, and afterwards there was still another spike towards the end of the year, like from September to like December kind of. Although so the person that owns this real estate stuff, if you want to like do any marketing campaign, September, the last quarter of the year, the third and last quarter of the year, is actually a good time for you to run the campaign to push your stuff. Then also another pattern that you can see within this report is the fact that most people prefer to pay instrumentally, right? So this is something that you need to advertise to your people. You tell them that, oh, you don't need to pay for the whole house at once. Even if you don't have the cash, you can pay instrumentally, quarterly, or half of the year and all. So this is an interesting report, and I just hope that you are able to understand as well as be able to answer some questions that you have. Thank you. Time for questions. Stand.
Okay, Chiamaka, thank you very, very much for this wonderful presentation. Building from scratch, from the beginning of everything up to us having a fully functional report dashboard. Um, Thank you very, very much. This is actually this is actually wonderful. Um,
Thank
Without wasting much of our time, so everyone, please, if you have any question, please, now it's time to ask. Oh, now it's time for you to ask. Ask your questions. If there's anything that is looking somehow to you, you don't understand. Now it's time to ask. Or Madam Chamaka, why did you use this chart instead of this chart? Madam Chamaka, don't mind Mr. Bankole.
I like I said earlier, you
Oh,
can actually
wait, oh, don't mind. Mr. Bankole said we should not do this, but this is what you are doing, Madam Chamaka. Why did you do it like that? Now it's time for you to ask. Oh, yeah, you can go on, Chamaka. You were saying something, Chamaka.
this particular session. I only made it one so that we don't have to spend a lot of time designing several pages.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that. I think for most of for okay, so Chamaka, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
For most of everyone who have tried it, which I think almost everybody have tried it on the call. I've really tried this. We had a mock
Okay.
presentation on
Okay.
last week. This week I was not feeling fine, so I couldn't. So last week there was a mock presentation Friday and Thursday and Tuesday and Thursday. And
Okay.
majority of them actually did more than one page. I think like 3 4 pages depending on what they want to see, because there was actually quite a lot of drill downs actually, and they were able
Yeah.
to talk about it much more fully than this, and it was actually interesting. Just one or two things, change this, add this, change this. In fact, this one page that I did
Mm,
actually, quite a lot of them were actually, I believe everyone have learned one or two things even much more than what we had spoken about earlier before now, right? And I believe
mm,
that they will make the changes. So the only thing that remains for us now is that I don't know when next we are going to be free. We are supposed to have a full submission presentation of the report that was given, this same report that you just did to them. Are you following?
okay.
So I don't know when you're free.
Yeah.
You could have another eyes that is not my eyes too. You know me, I used to enter them very well. I don't want to be the only one entering them. So I was looking at you and Benga. But I don't know when you will be free. So for me to be able to speak to Mr. Benga about that, we could.
Let's talk offline kind
Yeah,
of
we'll talk
thing.
later.
Let's
We'll talk later
so
about
if
that.
I'm free, I can actually come online and
Yes,
talk
yes.
about it. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm only telling you that because I promised them that I will tell you about it. So I'm telling you so that they'll hear that I told you about it. Aha, good. So,
Okay.
aha. So, yes. Oh yeah, Gladys, Joel, Promise, Amina, everybody. Now it's time for you to ask your questions. So, Madam Chamaka has done a wonderful job for us. Or nobody has any questions to ask. I think Promise raised the
Sir,
hand earlier.
thank you
Yeah,
so much, sir.
you're
Yes, I
welcome.
did actually. Thank you so much, Madam Chiamaka. We are so, so grateful. My question has already been answered. You know, in the previous section, we talked about having 4 to 5 visuals on a page. So, but
Yeah.
since there's that, so I'm okay with that. Then
Okay.
also, sir, I noticed that it's like this section was not recorded. Is it deliberate? Sir,
Wow, this session was not recorded and nobody said
Wow.
anything.
I just realized, sir.
Ah,
Hey,
it's not me. Oh. I already told you I was not feeling fine, so don't worry, it's being recorded. I'm not just recording on Teams. I'll be on Google Meet.
Okay.
Hmm. Is that are you okay now? Are you comfort? Are you okay now? Are you
This
relieved
is a
now?
relief. Yes,
Eh?
I almost passed out when I just realized. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, another question, Madam Gladys. Madam Gladys, you're supposed to have questions, so you and Joel, you're not asking questions. Okay. Okay. I think in absence of no questions, Madam Chamaka, when are you going to send us that your stuff?
Which
Uh,
one?
the
This
other
particular one.
no, yeah, no, no, the other one we talked
Okay,
about.
I will send it to you. I will send it to you immediately after the call. I'll share a link with you on WhatsApp.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for being part of our class. We really appreciate. Please do well to watch this recording again from the beginning to the end to understand what we've done. If you're interested in getting the documents, please just put a comment on the YouTube channel, and we're going to give it to you. Thank you very much, everyone, and do have a wonderful evening. Bye bye for now.